everyone. Welcome to another Sit Down with Spirit. I'm Rita G, and tonight we are moving forward the Palladians. We're talking about boundaries that we need to keep as we move forward into 2025. A lot going on, so let's start.
Hey Rita, how we doing?
Good, Ken. How are you, honey?
Doing good, feeling loved, feeling blessed, feeling abundantly blessed, feeling grateful.
Excellent. Excellent. Look at all these lovely faces tonight.
And Kenny, you're going to be a grandfather soon.
I know.
Again.
I was talking
Any
I was talking to Jennifer earlier. I know all about it.
Ah,
Okay.
that's wonderful.
Got-
God
got it.
bless.
Got it all lined up. Little Tommy is coming to town.
Little Tommy, he's coming.
All right. Fantastic. God bless, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Welcome, Pat. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Outside on Monday, she's had everything to do it.
All right. Ken and Susan, just mute your thing for a second for me.
There you go.
Did you mute it?
How do I mute it?
I think it.
Ken, you too, honey. Gina's still coming on. We got Joyce, Caroline, Janet, Susan, Lynn, Lauren, Debbie. Welcome, welcome. How is everyone? Did you have a good week?
Yes.
Jason and Linda are back. Nice.
Oh, great. Welcome back.
Thank you. We had a little hiatus. We were really sick for a while, so with that upper respiratory.
Oh, I'm so glad you're feeling better.
Thank you. Yeah. So
Okay, we were stuck for a second there.
Oh.
Yeah, the internet. You know, I changed over. I got rid of cable. Because we don't watch TV, you know? We're always watching Netflix or this shit or that shit. So I says, the hell with cable. I'm not giving them any more money. So we got rid of that, which felt really good. And so let's it's been quite a whirlwind since we last met. A lot of stuff going on. More and more, I want to say I'm feeling a combination of a lot of people's anxieties and then a lot of profound energy coming through. So what they were explaining to me was this is a time to choose where you would like your energy to be. That's the bottom line, because you can choose to be in the muck and in that anxiety, or you can choose to be in the energy let's just give this time as an example, an energy of where the group comes together and they bring each other blessings and peace and love and acceptance and all of that. It's a time, they're telling me, it's a time to make choices for ourselves that will dictate how our day is going to go. So what they're saying is every day you need to get up and exactly state to spirit how you would like your day to go. And not wait for the day necessarily to come to you, but you say to your loved ones in spirit and your spirit guides and your higher self, this is the kind of day I want to have. And you bring that into your energy. They're saying it's really important at this time to do this on a continual basis, because it's really easy to get caught up in what's going on around the world or in the government or blah, blah, blah. So there's enough angst and there's enough anxiety already out there. Why bring any more to yourself that you don't have to? Also, they're saying be aware of what you're watching on TV, no matter what it is. Try and at least end the night with something of a higher vibration instead of like a shoot 'em up, bang, bang type of thing. be aware of the music that you're listening to, and that you're choosing things that resonate with your frequency and your body, it will make a big difference. It's no longer, well, I shouldn't say that. For some it is. I want to be clear here. For those who do not want to participate in this, in raising their own consciousness and moving forward and not living in the past and not living in the future, but just being here right now. This is something that has to be on a daily basis in the life. Choices, these kind of choices. There will be those that will not make any of these choices because they're still living in a very old pattern and an old way of living, an old way of thinking. And there are those living very much in the past. And I want to say when like the 1950s were around and things felt like it was wholesome and good and all of that. And it's not that that's gone. It's just that the realities that are with us now, and the frequencies that are with us now have changed the earth. And so if we want to live in that harmony, if we want to live in the grace, if we want to live in that world of higher consciousness, and I'm going to tell you that I'm not saying every day is going to be peachy keen, because it just doesn't work that way, right? We are human. So, but what you can do is make the best of every day, no matter what comes your way. And there are things coming your way that are expected and unexpected based on what's going on around the world. So have no expectation and just be in a place of being able to receive at the level you would like to. So for me, I get up every day and I say, show me where I can be of service, protect my energy in anything that I'm doing. And I only choose to be connected to the light, love, God, source, whatever you want to call it. And that's how I start the day. That's how all of us should start the day, with that feeling in us. We talked a little bit last week. They're not sure if we need to go over this again, but we talked about the holographic inserts or dramas they want to call them, that are inserted here on the planet to help create anxiety and to create the control here. Was everybody here the last time we spoke of this? Raise your hand if you were here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people were here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I want to say that it takes a lot of energy everybody understands what a holograph is? Okay. So, and if like a great example would be if you ever watch Star Wars and you see these little light energies that come through and they speak to you. They're not in the room, but they're just energy of light talking to you. That's a holograph. It's kind of implanted so that you get information. That's exactly what the lower vibrational energies are doing. They're inserting holographic energies here to create fear. Some of them are even UFOs that are not necessarily bad, but they put them here with the expectation of people being afraid of them. And they used, hold on. Okay, so these holographic inserts, they come with a very limited amount of knowledge. They fit very well in the 3D because they can seamlessly be put in, and it looked like it's just a kind of a movie playing out, and that it's really your reality when it really isn't the reality. It will bring you false information. And the biggest one that we addressed, I think it was the last time, was Jesus, the holographic energy of Jesus, right? So in order to bring that that energy here. And it's not that Jesus didn't exist, the Christed one existed. But what they did was they took that energy. He was meant to come here to raise the consciousness. And they want to make something very clear. It wasn't just Jesus that came here to do that. There were many of Christ consciousness that came here. Jesus was one of them. They prefer to call him the Christed one, the Palladians. And they were here to bring light and love to the earth, to change the energy, right? And we were saying that the lower vibrational energies did not want this to happen. They wanted to have people remain in fear and not have the truth be told. So they inserted a holographic imprint of Christ. They made a whole story around him. They put it in, they inserted it into the 3D. And the way they can do that is because they have to have a dimension that can coincide with the third dimension. So they have to have other dimensions that can merge with the third dimension in order to bring that holographic energy in. And that was in the Middle East where that happened. So he and others of that Christed light energy went into the Middle East to shift that energy. At the same time, the dark energies created this holographic imprint and put it in so that we had this notion of Jesus living this, the life that he lived, being crucified on the cross, then raising from the dead, and blah, 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 blah. According to the Palladians, none of that happened. Now, again, I'm going to say this because they make me repeat it every single time. You do not have to believe anything that they say. You have your own mind's energy. You can tell the difference between if it's real or it's not real. They are giving you the information so that you can understand what their truth is in all of this. Okay. So what was the truth? The truth was, according to them, that Jesus lived, that he married Mary Magdalene, that he had several children, that he traveled, and that people enjoyed him and his teachings, and that he was not crucified. So I'm going to stop for a second because they're asking me to, and I'm going to ask Lynn, when I say this, when I bring this to your attention, tell me what it makes you feel. Just give me the feeling of your, what it feels like when I say something like this, when I bring this information to you.
It brings me peace.
Brings you peace.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I, for me, I choose to believe what the Palladians are saying. Like that makes more sense to me than the other story. That's to me, the story that exists in our culture is harder to grasp than what you're saying. You know what I mean? It just
so they wanted it that way because they felt like we would always be trying to attain the Christ consciousness, but never quite get there. You know what I mean? Because it was too far-fetched, right? And what the Palladians are saying is, no, because we are that Christ consciousness. That's what we are. We just forgot. And then there were things planted so that we would not pay attention to the truth of really what it was. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I feel like to me, it's not so much what we've got, it's how we've been trained.
There's definitely an entrainment in it. Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like if it's ingrained in your head from the time you go to Sunday school, it's hard to think otherwise. And
this is why Spirit says this is why you can't judge others, because everyone from our generation all the way back to our mother or all our ancestors were geared this way.
Yeah.
So they weren't trying to hurt us when they were teaching us. It's all they knew, right? Okay, now they know different, especially the ones that are in spirit. They just know different. But thank you for your input. Lauren, let me have your take, honey.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked because I was just raising my hand.
Go ahead.
Well, I totally appreciate what Lynn said. I would like to feel that way, but my gut reaction was I feel duped. I feel
Yeah,
like, as being raised an Italian Catholic, and I have the guilt every single day of things that you should think and feel and do, and I don't need to go to church to hear the sermon because I believe the teachings, but at the same time, it's just eye-opening and makes me question so many things because that's the way, or the only way I've ever known.
yeah, 100%. And it's meant to have you question everything. It's meant to
Mhm.
have you come to your own conclusion and search deep inside yourself in that feeling area, in that gut, in that third chakra, and go, what is the truth of all of this? And so when I look at the Palladians and as they talk to me and I connect deeper, I think to myself, wow, well, they're bringing so much light and love, right? Where alls I ever had in the Catholic religion was fear, anxiety, and I'm going to hell and a hang job,
Absolutely. And I
right?
really love to hear the story of the Palladians because it makes so much more sense. Like
Right.
it's easier for us human brain to grasp than this story of Christ, and especially we're coming into the Easter season, right? And
Right.
so, and it's like, oh, and he was in this tomb and then the rock was moved and then he's gone, and it does make so much more sense for me to grasp.
They won't say he did not ascend. He did ascend.
And that's fine.
He was
But
he was of the Christ consciousness. He ascended. It just wasn't in the way that they portrayed it. That's all.
and
Very
that
good.
and that's more acceptable for my human brain to understand.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. So what they're go ahead, Lynn.
One comment I was just going to make, I feel like, and I don't want this to come out as disrespectful, the Catholic religion is so extreme. And I grew up Presbyterian, and I feel like Presbyterianism, I had more freedom.
Mm,
And so I feel for folks who grew up with Catholicism,
mhm.
because it was just so extreme. I think it's got to be a very challenging way
Yeah.
to learn and grow. And then there's so much pressure to
Yeah,
do things a certain way. Like it's just not a realistic expectation. But
100%.
then, like, to Lauren's point about the guilt, like, and that's so common, like everyone feels
It's
Yeah.
in
guilt.
reality, it sets you up to fail.
Yeah. And
In
so,
real,
Right.
instead of bringing you higher in consciousness, it makes you feel more like shit.
yeah,
I
so
get it.
right, so I
Yep.
appreciate the Presbyterianism, and that's part of, anyway, what I learned.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I've
Gina,
been
go ahead.
in Presbyterian churches and Methodist churches and all these other experiences as well. And it's a more kinder and gentler place. And I think that, at the end of the day, you really just have to go with your gut is and not be afraid that you're not going to go to heaven or go to, whatever you want to call it,
Right,
to another realm.
right.
And this just adds so much value to all of that. So
100%.
thank you both.
Okay. Gina, you had a question, babe.
Yeah, I just wanted to add maybe a little bit of a different perspective than
Sure.
you guys, which I love to hear how you feel about that, which I understand. And Lynn, to your point, it's not an easy way to grow up Catholic. It definitely is not. But as I've tried to learn more and understand more, the part about the holographic way that we were incorrectly shown how Jesus passed
Yeah.
is how I found it, because I feel like I have a relationship with Jesus, and that if it's not true, if what they're saying is not true, isn't it so disrespectful if in fact Jesus did suffer and we are discounting it, if in fact they're wrong? Like, I don't know that they're wrong. I'm not saying that they're wrong. There's a big chunk of disrespect, I feel, and maybe it's just all based in guilt. I don't know, but that's when you were saying it and explaining it, that's what was in my heart. I felt like we were being so disrespectful to Jesus because of what he did for us, and that if we believe this, that it's just kind of throwing it all out the window.
So you're saying if he actually did suffer and was nailed to the cross and all of that, how could we just dismiss that?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to, is what they're saying. You don't have to dismiss any of it. You can, if your choice is to believe that, it's okay. They're saying but the bottom line is, the truth is, he did not come here to spread what they have been saying all along. He was not, in other words, he came with light and love. He didn't come with guilt and this is what you have to do to honor me, and you have to go to church, and you have to
Right,
give
right,
10%
right.
of your money, and you have to blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And you can't if you don't go to church, you can't receive me, or
Right,
you receive Jesus every day
right,
without the body, right?
right,
You can receive. These are the things that they're talking about. Like the things that were put in place to create fear, to create, anxiety, and because they wanted you to do what they wanted you to do. Even the Catholic religion, the Catholic Church wanted you to do that because they are of an entity of their own.
right,
Right. And they wanted control as well. It's like any corporation that is full of greed.
right.
So these are the things that, and plus what they're saying to me now is, we want you to understand that Jesus did not come as one person. He came as a consciousness. There were others on this with him, doing this, preaching it. But they singled out one man and put him on a cross and said, well, now, then, you know what we could do, G? We could throw out the whole fucking first part of the Bible. Because in that Bible, in that first energy, God was not forgiving. God was a vengeful God.
Right.
Right? It's a fucking oxymoron if you think of it. So how could God be all of that? I'll get to you, Joyce. I see you. How could God be all of that, and then all of a sudden his son comes, now God is all forgiving? Makes no sense.
Right.
If you think about that. But they say there's some of the things in the Bible that are true. There are some aspects that are true, but then there are other parts of it that we've gone way out of the ballpark with, So does that make more sense to you, or do I need to explain more?
Yes. Yes, that makes more sense to me. I mean, I have never, I don't buy, I like the traditions of how we were raised, but I don't buy into a lot of the beliefs of it anymore. And yeah, that really, that is helpful. And do they ever say anything or mention anything about like Genesis, about like source creating everything?
How universes were created?
Yes.
Yeah, they haven't gotten into full detail with me, but that will happen. They're saying that they will talk about that. Because I find that fascinating.
Fascinating.
And I said to them, I tell me, I want to know. so that I can teach it. So we will get there. Yeah, there was a lot coming in today as well about, because I was asking, what's going on right now, and they were saying, well, 2025 is huge. This year is huge for change. Right up until about 2028, where it's going to be even more, like from now until then, because Pluto is going into Aquarius for the next 20 years. So there's huge change, and we're going to go over all of the astrological stuff as well. But I was just kind of asking today, and then from now until 2050, you won't even recognize what's going on here. It'll be a completely different world, completely different. And that's 25 years away. That's nothing. You know what I mean? So hold on, let me get to Joyce first. Go ahead, Joyce.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, guys. When I was 9, I was fighting with my mother. She was talking about original sin, about the Pope knew when the world would end, and I'm fighting with her. It was absolutely absurd to me. At 9. And then I learned very quickly I had to keep my mouth shut and just live the lie, because I had a very strict family. Grandparents got involved. I didn't need that. I knew to keep my mouth shut. I didn't accept any of it. The original sin was another thing that was a joke. To me, it was a joke. And where did this knowledge come from? I was a little kid. And now...
You mean Adam and Eve and all that?
I'm sorry?
You talk about Adam and Eve and all that?
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah, okay.
And all the crap. And, of course I did what I was told, and made believe everything. It was just I just played a role.
Right.
In my head as a kid. And then now I'm starting to think that the second coming is our consciousness. It's nothing physical.
100%.
Yeah, it's the change within us all. That's what they're talking about. And I'm not disclosing, I'm not discarding the Bible 100%. Don't
think, though, that there might not be another holographic insert. Do you understand? This is why they're trying to tell you to make sure you feel authentically within yourself. Connect to your feeling center, because they can insert another holographic piece seamlessly into the third dimension.
Okay. So
to again create fear.
No, this isn't about fear. This is about figuring out exactly what all of it means and coming down to your gut feeling. That's really where the truth lies, within myself.
Of course.
And that's not my job, is to tell anyone what's right and what's wrong. You have to respect people and their beliefs. And I know that as an adult. But as a kid, I thought this was whacked. This religion is whacked. And
it was hard for someone who felt like they didn't agree with it at a very young age. It was very hard to live in a household where you didn't agree with it, So I get it, honey. Thank you. Reggie, go ahead, hon.
I have to piggyback off of Joyce because I went to Catholic school and my parents were Baptist, so I was getting it at both ends. But like Joyce, I remember being in Sunday school 5 years old, and I'm like, what are you talking about? This makes no sense. Is it because I'm 5 years old? I don't understand. But even the cross, no disrespect to anyone, even the cross, like I would look at it and say, okay, if Jesus was tortured on the cross, why would we wear it around our necks? It's a torture thing. If my dad saved me and got shot by a 45, would I wear a 45 around my neck to honor my dad? Like, it didn't make sense to me at all. And I'm just so grateful for this conversation, because it's been years of all the crap.
Yeah. And the cross represents many things, not just Jesus. And people use it for many things, and in different cultures it means different things. It's a very personal thing to a lot of people. But I get it. I understand what you mean by, why would you put something around your neck that, created such havoc for someone? But this is what we're all facing now. We're all facing the truth or what we need to be, what we need to learn is the truth of who we really are and where we came from. And some people are going to have a harder time than others understanding it and knowing where they came from, and others are going to be able to accept it easier. But nonetheless, your truth is your truth, regardless of what I say, Palladians say, or anybody says. Okay, that's the bottom line. You have to know your own truth. Pat, you're new to the group here, honey, right?
Yes,
Okay, just wanted to know if you had any input. Welcome, by the way.
thank you.
Yeah. Just wanted to know if you had any input on what we're saying.
Oh, yeah, I was raised Catholic and I went to parochial school for the first 8 years. And I remember distinctly in the 8th grade sitting in church. I was graduating. They wanted to send me to the parochial high school. And I said, no, thank you. I've had enough. And I went in my own direction, and I discovered metaphysics and things in my 20s. And I discovered the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Ascenic teachings and all of that. And so none of the stories actually, for me, matter anymore. It doesn't matter what the Bible says or what the church says or what somebody outside of myself says. Doesn't honestly even matter what the Pleiadians say. What matters to me is what I believe and know in my own soul. So that's where I'm at now. I don't think too much about those days and all of the sacraments and all this stuff. There was fear, those nuns were brutal. They were just brutal, but whatever. It's, they've moved on, and so have I. I appreciate the conversation. It's interesting. I haven't talked about any of that in a long time, but it doesn't have any relativity to me anymore. It hasn't for a long time.
And this is why we bring up that Palladians always are, talking about you connecting to your higher self, to your the deepest part of you, to know the truth and not and to be guided by that truth, not somebody else's truth. That's what I like about the way they teach, because they force nothing on you. And they ask you to use your energy to actually figure it out. Think about it. They give a lot of things to think about, and then you get to decide what's truth and what isn't truth. I just present it in a way that they give it to me, to open up your own minds and energy. Okay. Thank you so much, Pat. Anybody else want to weigh in before we go on? Go ahead, Janet.
Okay, so I was going to say, the last time we talked, when you were talking about the Bible and all that stuff, and I'm going, oh my God, I was right all along. I knew it. It never resonated with me. I never believed it. I never wanted to read it. I never wanted to own it. It never made sense to me. Sitting in church as a kid, I'm like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Had no idea. My parents really weren't religious, but they wanted us to, get into the church, whatever. It was such a joke. It was so hypocritical, but it never made sense. It never resonated. And when you were talking about this, how it all came about, I'm like, it's a joke. It never made sense. And I feel so much satisfaction actually now, because it's confirmation that, I read it right all along. You weren't crazy. Yeah, I was on the mark with it right from the get-go as a kid. And I'm glad I'm not that I know the Pleiadians all that well either, but I'm more likely to believe them than the Bible.
Well, listen, there's multiple star systems that are, helping. We just, they just happen to be the ones that connected with me for the teachings. But there's Sirius, there's Orion, there's Arcturus, there's multiple ones that are helping us. And we might be able to even get into that at some point after they're done teaching you know, this aspect of it, because they all have a different maybe point of view, but it feels like they'll all converge into one. Like, for instance, there's a lot of religions, but if we take it all, it converges all into love. You know what I mean? No matter what religion you want to talk about, even if there's fear involved, there's still love there as well. Yeah, Joyce.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, when I was a kid, I was up at the altar. I don't know how old I was. And I have clairaudience since I'm a little kid. And I heard somebody say, "You don't belong here," right at the altar.
Mm.
That was the biggest secret I kept. No one knew that. I kept that a big fat secret.
Yeah.
That's
It's
it.
all right. It's all good. All good. We will have, as the time moves on, we will have a tremendous influx of entities from, you know, they call them motherships. They will be among us. You have already, maybe not us, but there are people that have already seen the Palladians and extraterrestrials, but within the next 5 years, you're going to see huge influx of those energies and ships around us, where you will actually be able to see them. They talk about these etheric implants that we have inside of us that can be activated if we want them to be, to receive energies from these from them and from the ships as they come into our realm. And so it's about aligning your frequency, your current of energy to them. And it again doesn't have to be the Palladians. It could be the Syrians. It could be whoever you resonate with. It could be Christ consciousness. It could be anything you want it to be. But this is going to happen. They said specifically from 2025 all the way to that 2050, where you're going to see major changes happen. What they're wanting is that we're not so much using the logical mind as we're using the energy of the heart and the solar plexus to understand the truth of what's coming. Okay. So there'll be this telepathic energy that has been with us many, many moons ago, and then the logical mind took over. Now we're going back to that telepathic link, where then we can actually get information from them in that way, not having to even hear or see or anything like that. It'll just be this telepathic energy happening. Okay. As you begin to trust the energy moving forward, you will manifest exactly what you need here. To the point where you can, that the nervous system will get to the point where it will be able to merge in and out without feeling what's the word I want to use, like you know, when I think of nervous system and you're not, the frequency is not the same, it feels very jittery. But what will happen is the nervous system will actually get used to going in and out of those different dimensions. And that I want to say your molecules, your molecular structure will actually be able to get integrated into that much easier. So the feeling of moving in and out of dimensions will be like you going in and out of a store. Tell me if that makes sense, or you have a question around that. Yeah, Joyce.
I picture that happening as you dream. This is a natural thing that happens, but nobody knows
but this will be when you're awake.
No, I know.
Yeah,
we're doing it now. We're doing it now.
It is very natural. It's not as natural in the waking state as it is in the dreaming state. Okay. And we don't have our egos connected to us in that dreaming state where we go, this isn't true. This isn't really happening. You know, in the dreaming state, anything could happen. So, okay. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about here while you're awake. You'll actually be able to come encounter with you know, another ET, energy of light, and have a conversation with them. That's what it's going to come down to eventually. Okay. Okay. Hold on. They're talking about, has anybody heard about the Rainbow Bridge? Rainbow Bridge. Okay. So it's a sacred, they describe it as a sacred bridge. And they said, you can see it as an actual rainbow and that it looks just like a bridge. And the Rainbow Bridge is connecting us here to the cosmos. So there'll be a guided meditation with this Rainbow Bridge eventually they're going to bring so that we could actually walk across, connect to them, and then walk back, and you'll see what it feels like to be in two different realities energetically. Okay. There will be they're saying a very grounding agent before we begin so that nobody thinks that they're walking across and not coming back. So, but they want you to see the difference. They want you to understand the difference of what it feels like to be in that state. And they want you to understand that you can connect to that bridge on a daily basis, get information, and come back, just in your mind's eye. Okay. We are that powerful. And I don't say it lightly, but it's the truth. Okay. Oh, this was funny. They wanted me to write this down because they knew I would forget it. I wouldn't be able to say it the way they wanted me to. So I'm going to read you something, and because I found it so, like, this is their comedy. So they said, let me just find it here. Okay. They said we could all have a business card right now. The business card would read, Renegade member of the family of light. Available for altering systems of consciousness within the free will universe. On call 24/7. So when they said that to me, I'm like, that is the greatest fucking thing. I'm like, I'm going to make a fucking card that says that. So what we're doing is basically we're mastering the light inside of us to create things outside of us. Instead of using any type of technology or machine to do that, we're using our own energy to do that. Okay. So why are they saying that? They're not being funny, but they're saying that we carry all of this knowledge within us, and they want us to know that knowledge so that we can move freely on this earth without fear, without anxiety, and without guilt. That's the name of the game here. And that's what they want. Okay. They said the third dimension was only meant to focus on one existing reality. And then they forgot to tell you that you were multidimensional. And then they took your 12 strands of DNA and they cut it down to 2. And then they took your memory away. And then they duped you. Like this, it's not our fault because it's been years and years and years of this. What it is now is we have to take responsibility for us, right? We're learning different things now. And then we get to choose where we want to be. I told you there will be those that remain in the third dimension. They don't want to be they don't want anything to change. And you'll see a lot of people crossing over in the next several years because they're done here. They'll come back at a different time when things are different. To me, it's like the best time to be here to witness all of this. It's like incredible. Okay. Let me just listen to see if there's anything else here. No, they're saying that was pretty good for tonight. Okay. So anybody have questions before? Go ahead, Jen.
Sorry. So when you were talking about being multidimensional a couple weeks ago, so because we're multidimensional, we can be in several places doing several things at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So while I'm in this physical incarnation here now, I at the same time can be a spirit guide to somebody else
Yeah.
and vice versa and all that. So okay, and different times in history, right? It doesn't have to be like current. It doesn't have to be like 2025. It could be like in, 1492 or
No,
something,
because everything is simultaneous anyway. That,
right?
there's no time.
Okay, all
There's
right.
only linear time here because we're in the third dimension. But
Okay,
right now, a piece of your spirit could be someplace else helping someone.
okay. So, okay.
What else, guys? Was this a lot to swallow? No? Yeah, Gina's like, yeah. You just threw my whole fucking childhood right out the window. Gina's not meant to take anything away from you. It really isn't. It's
No.
only meant to give you another perspective
Yeah.
of, of what another reality would look like. Because there's so much more than what they have told us.
Right.
There's just so much more. It's not cut and dry the way they would have liked us to believe. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh my God, I'm sorry, you moved. Reggie just went in
I
your
know,
spot.
everybody moved, I know.
Oh, that was so weird.
Go ahead.
So if we could be theoretically in the past, present, and we could be in the future simultaneously, then somehow we should know, or somebody should be able to tell us what's going to happen, how we evolved in the next 25 years.
Yes, but I have to tell you, because we're in a free will zone, that fluctuates because, people make decisions and then energy moves. And then just like
Right.
when I do a psychic reading, if someone changes their path or decides to do something else, that
Right.
whole thing could change, right? It's
Right.
the same thing. We're not in a fixed reality. We're in a reality that
Right, right.
moves,
Right,
and it's a
right.
free will zone. That's why,
Right.
anybody could do whatever they want and it'll
Right.
change their reality.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, but we can, they have made forecasts of things that are coming, based on what they see in their realm, right? They have, and they'll bring those as well. Because I said to them, I want to start, give me more about the now, like what's going on and how we could move forward that way. But they really felt like you needed to know the backstory before we moved into all of that. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Reggie. I'll get you, Deb.
So when you're talking about our souls being able to be in two places at one time, is it possible for someone to be here on Earth and somewhere else? Or is it once your soul comes to Earth, because we're so jacked up, you can't do that anymore? You're just here.
You can once you plug into the 12 strands of DNA is what I'm hearing.
Okay, but normally, like most people
Yeah, you have to get to that level of
you have to get
consciousness.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
like like if you were like a monk, like meditating for 23 hours a day, and you took an hour to shit and eat, you would be able to shape shift, move in and out of realities, consciousness, dimensions, whatever you wanted to. Because
Okay.
you've set up the energy to go that way. But someone coming from a third dimensional energy, right? All of a sudden goes, oh, I want to do that. Can't just do that like that. And they have to be prepared to do that, because really the energy could split them like an atom if they're not, if they're not careful.
Right.
To move up in consciousness dimension, you have to prepare your energy for that and your body for that. It would be, like they said, it would be too much to actually witness prime creator or source energy. It's just too much energy for us. Not even the Palladians are at that point. But that's what we're all, you know, striving for.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Deb.
So I'm curious. So we're multi-dimensional beings.
Mhm.
So here we are communicating in the 3D.
Mm-hmm.
When we go to sleep and maybe travel somewhere else,
Yep.
go planet jumping or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What dimension is that? What
Fourth dimension.
for?
Yeah.
And so what dimension do you think is the most common one that we exist in?
I want to say for us right now would be the third, but I would say the fourth is where our spirit likes to reside. But then there are other consciousnesses that you move up to when your energy is ready to do that.
Okay.
A lot of people resonate in that heaven, you know, in that fourth, fifth dimensional heaven, they call it, when someone passes. Used to that energy. Everyone's used to that energy.
Okay.
And that is like the go-between between here and even the other dimensions. So that's where you go to plan where you're going to be next, right? It's like a playground, and you get to experience whatever you want to experience. And that's when you know you're more than just three dimension. Third, you know, you know that when you're in that dimension.
Okay. And I was also wondering about the Akashic records.
Yes.
Are all of the dimensions that we exist on, like maybe 3 and 4,
All in the Akashic records.
all of those are recorded?
All of them. There's a keeper of those records. There are people that protect those records. Not anyone could just go into those records. You have to be trained to do it. You have to get the assistance of the other side to say, okay, we can let them in. Because there are people that are, I want to say, don't have good intentions, right? So that they know that they can't let somebody in there like that to retrieve that information. Listen, we know that the lower vibrational energies, even though they're lower vibrational, they have abilities. They're just not always done for the greater good, right? Make sense, Deb?
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of the multi-dimensionality, and I feel it to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very curious about it, but I'm really wrapping my head around it too, very much so.
Absolutely. And understand that the acceleration of this, which started in like 87, 88 up until now, people don't realize the acceleration of the consciousness from then till now, but it's been a massive shift. Massive shift. If we weren't in a free will zone, I want to say, it might have been a little bit easier because, you know, people are like, you have your own will. You can change your mind on a dime, right? And so, you know, when you have that ability to believe whatever you want to believe, and then actually create whatever you want to create. So the lower vibrational energies know that. So they say, well, we know we can create chaos here and keep it the way it is. Then there's others like us that go, I've had enough of this shit. Like, I want my own autonomy now. You know, how do I get my own autonomy? The only reason why we don't know or feel 100% like the multidimensional stuff is because we forgot. We came with amnesia, right? When we got here. Then we had this whole thing set in place already of how we were raised. Jesus, the whole thing. We got our DNA cut away from us. All of that happened. So it can't be undone for that amount of time. And then all of a sudden, we're back to multidimensional again. Right now, you're just taking in the concept that you're not just 3D, that you are multi-dimensional. You're not just third dimensional. Okay? You're going to take that in, you're going to feel it, you're going to mull it around, you're going to experience certain things because you're working with spirit, you're going to get more comfortable with it, you're going to raise your consciousness, then all of a sudden synchronicities are going to happen, people are going to come in and out of your life that shift things for you, and then you'll start having the aha moments and going, well, this is what it's really about. This is what it is. It's no longer, it's way past that, right? Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So this isn't a race. Spirit says this is not a race. Did we bring up the turtle last time?
Yeah, we did.
Pay attention to that. It's big. I've seen the turtle now all over the fucking place ever since I mentioned that. I see turtles everywhere now. Spirit says to me, stay grounded. If you need to go on side and reevaluate, go in. Make sure you know what's going on around you. Drop the fear, the anxiety, all of it, because you know you are one with Christ consciousness. You know you are love. You know you are light. There's nothing taking that from you. The only thing taking that from you is you. That's it. No one can take that right. What else? Anything else, Pat?
Yeah, thank you. Since I'm a newbie here, I'm trying to, I recognize there's fluidity when you're talking about spirit. The meeting thing mentioned something about creating boundaries, practice for protecting energy, etc. So wrapping back to that, since that didn't seem to be the actual topic, I'm thinking about the holographic image and the energies of holographics and the potential risks there.
Mm-hmm.
And so what would you sort of say would be ways of, aside from the usual kind of protections that you mentioned when you start the day, what would you say would be a practical way to create a boundary for the potential risk with holographic energy?
So the idea of what they were telling me was you have to know who you are. And, you have to be able to go in and know the truth of who you are and not let something, so that when you see it, when you know your truth and you have that firm belief in you and you see a holographic energy and it doesn't fit right, you'll know it. Like your energy will know that. Now for me, I immediately put a dome around me every day. I push my energy out about 15 feet all the way around me. And I put a silver lining around it. And I say to spirit, only those that come from the light, from God, and from my highest consciousness will come in. Everything else will stay on the outside. And I will be able to see that when that thing comes towards me, that is not truth. But that's something that has to be cultivated within, they're saying. That boundary has to be put in place immediately, whatever that means, however you want to create that boundary. And that makes you feel that protection and connection is what you do. There's multiple ways to do it, but I'm giving you the example of how I do it. Although it's either that or I call Michael immediately, Archangel Michael.
Michael's my go-to also, but the daily meditation is really probably the foundation for my being in my own truth.
Yeah, absolutely. I said, split yourself 4 ways, but I put him in front and back and on both my sides. And he's got his armor like all around me. It's one of those two things. Really, and the belief that you are protected is all you need. Because you are. That's the bottom line. They got your back. There's so much help here, it's not even funny.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, Pat. Thank you for joining. All right, guys. We're good? All right. So, next week. Oh, I got to ask a question. Raise your hand. Are Monday nights any good for anybody? Monday nights. Monday's good. Monday. Susan's good. Lynn? No good on Mondays. Pat's good. Linda? Half and half. Ken? Mondays. Okay. I'm thinking about switching the night. That's why I'm asking. There's a lot going on. There's classes that Spirit has asked me to take for my own consciousness, for my own raising of vibration. So that's why I'm asking if a Monday is any good for anybody. Lynn, is every Monday not good?
Mondays are a little, I've got a couple things on Mondays. So,
Okay.
in the summer it might be better, but right now it's not. But that's okay. I mean, listen, like obviously if you've got the majority on Monday, go
No,
for it.
I wanna try and Monday seems to be the day that they gave me that would be good. How is a Sunday morning for anybody? No good. Sunday, no good. They're good. No, Sundays are rough. Okay.
Hey, Rita, and I don't know if this would be like later on Monday, like at 8 o'clock on Monday could work.
Is that too late for everyone? 8 o'clock? No? You guys good with that? Maybe if I change it to Monday, 8 o'clock instead of 7? All right, I'm gonna think about that. And then what I'll do is I'll send out an email to get everybody's input on it. Okay? Lauren, how you feel about it? Good? All right, good. I didn't see you raise your hand. All right, kids. Love you all. See you next week. Ciao,
Bye.
Bella.